Tak a teď vole, jak zjistím, že streamuji tady. Ej, tak, tak a teď vole, jak zjistím, že streamuji tady. Ej, Neger. Tak, tak a teď vole, jak zjistím, že streamuji tady. Ej, tak, tak a teď vole, jak zjistím. Počkej, já potřebuji zjistit, jak moc potřebuji být na hlas, kámo. Dobrý, Zdeněk je teda tady. Zdeňku, kámo, potřebuji, abys mi řekl, jak moc jsem na hlas. Protože to vůbec netuším. Čau, čere. Mám být víc nahlas, nebo mám to dát víc nahlas, ten mic, on je v píči, ale ten mic, kam, já ho nemůžu ani vyfiltrovat, kam. Nebo prostě nějaký kompresor, aby tam nebylo to zasraný šumění. To máš tu Nvidia, ne, jsi říkal? Jo, OK, neslyšíš hru. A teď? Když ji zapnu, tak jestli ji slyšíš. To, I need a target. No, je to classic mic, no. Notebook. Jak se jmenovala, kámo, tak je Nvidia Broadcast, OK. Nvidia Broadcast. Broke guy. Audio good, nice. V 8% víc volume Wolfil. Tady mám jenom decibele, sorry. Dám to jenom tak, dám to takhle a... Čekej. A zkusíš. Neger. Když u toho budu mluvit, víš, tak jakoby neger. Ani nevím, jak vypadá ta webka, kámo, vůbec. Ale všiml jsem si, že mám furt OBS, tak jsem to zkusil zapnout s webkou. O trošku víc, třeba o 1,5 decibelu. Hej, já to dám úplně nahlas. A zkusíme to. A tak, blablabla. Abych mluvil to, aby jsme to zkusili smíchat. A může se si je to bavková hra, no. Ale to se mi moc nechce. Kdyby si na sebe svítil, tak by bylo good video. Tak počkej. Takovýhle disko, ne? Co teď? Je to lepší to video? To je v píči, jaký tam mám delay, já čekám kamo 500 milion let, než ty mi odpovíš. Jak to vypadá? Svítil přímo to. Tak má to cenu, nebo to mám vypnout? Já to asi vypnu stejně. Pracuji s čím, co se dá. Takhle, počkej. Bych měl fauna. Jo, tohle by bylo kinda lepší, no. Jo, ty vole, takhle bych šel i vědět, jak vypadám, ty vole, celkem. Ale nebudu, ale já nemůžu držet takovou faunus. Ale jo, určitě by to bylo lepší, no. Takhle jsem úplně temný. Ale instalováno, zavřít a teď jak to fixnu? Já ne. Oh shit, to řve, proč to řve? Proč mi kurva řve Nvidia Broadcast, vole? Proč tam mám hudbu? To není to Vovko, to je kámo ta Nvidia fucking. Tak počkej. Odstranění šumu. Ty vole, jaký mám ten mikrofon? Počkej, když se podívám na Discord, tak on to poznám. Halo?
Halo?
Jo,
Jo,
podle mikrofonu Real Tech. OK, odstranění ozvěny. Studiový hlas. Halo, 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 tak teďka mluvím a zkusíme to teda s tímhle. Ne, tak to ne, tak já si dám odstranění šumu zkusím. Halo, 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 teďka mluvím. Teďka když tak zkouším ten mic, takže tě nevidím, Zdenku, co říkáš. Teda, nečtu si to. Ty vole, to mi dá odstranění šumu, ale vůbec to tam kámo neodstraní ten šum. Počkej. Musíš s tím pohrát, pak do OBS nastavit input Nvidia Broadcast. Jo. Ale mě vůbec... odstraní... Ne, to je reproduktor. Já zkusím takhle to zapnout. Halo. Zkouška. Ne, mně to nepřijde, že by se to měnilo, tyhle. Zkusím to bez toho. Halo. Zkouška. Ne, já mám úplně stejný, kámo, to. Halo. Ok, to není vůbec, to nejde. Halo, to taky nejde. Podle mikrofonu tady ten, síla. Zkusím to teda snížit. Halo. Mikrofon, zkouška. Halo. To vůbec nefunguje. Buď mám v píči mic, nebo to nefunguje. Halo. Zkouška. Mikrofon. Halo. Ne. Já i když dám 100, tak mi to vůbec nic nedělá, kámo. Halo. 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 Neger. Jsi furt tady, Zdeňku? Že bych ti to ukázal na tom streamu? Ty slyšíš, že to je ten šum, jo? Jako můžu to dát prostě na stol, odstranění ozvěny taky dám na stol. Halo, halo, teďka mluvím teda. A podle mě tam bude furt slyšet ten šum. Ale možná to bude dobrý na tom. Pole mikrofonu Realtek. Tady mám taky pole mikrofonu Realtek, myslím. Pole mikrofonu Realtek. Počkej, co je tady to? Ne. Halo? Jak to zní na tom teďka v tom OBSku? Je to nějak lepší než předtím, nebo ne? Teď jsem to totiž vyměnil. Co, zní to líp, nebo ne? Teďka v tom OBSku je to nějak lepší než předtím, nebo ne? Že jo, asi úplně stejný, co? To asi nemá cenu nějak to řešit. Maximálně, až budeš umět, tak mi třeba s tím pomůžeš. Počkej, budu mít zaplej chat, kámo, vedle to na phonu. Wowko na kratáku. Ty vole, dá se jenom zapnout chat, kámo, že bych viděl jenom chat na tom mobilu? To asi ne, co? Nechám to takhle. Ty vole, nebo jsem mohl zapnout sáby kompa, přesto se budu. To udělám. Ale nevím, jestli znám její heslo na komp, ty vole. Kámo, jsi přední fanoušek, Zdeňku, jsi nejlepší to ze všech tady. Ja. Tak, jdu zkusit. Yes! Pamatuju si to heslo. Banger. Internet? Kámo, kdo používá Firefox? Ty píčo. Sába, prostě. Mě fakt dokáže překvapit. Firefox v roce 2025. Imagine. Já jak to hledám na těch 6, kámo, přístrojích, tak podle mě to bude ve frontě doporučení. Ve For You page. OK. Mám to tam, mám to zaplý. Yes, sir. Tak to je nice. A chceš jako pak hodit, nebo? to bude za 3 klidně. Chceš hodit, kámo, nebo? Budeš psát teďka 2 minuty. 1 minuta. To nemá dílej minutu, vole. Tak v píči to není. Chceš hodit tam přímo domů, nebo chceš, abych tě vyzval?
I need to target something first. It's too far away.
No já právě nevím, co myslíš ty právě. Jestli chceš jakoby hodit z práce, nebo jestli chceš hodit jako vodu. Jo, tak já to slumem, to ovko. Jsem si to trošku myslel, no. Čum, já nevím, jako jestli to myslíš, že tě mám být vyzvednout, nebo jestli chceš jakoby z baráku, nebo jestli tě mám vyzvednout a jet s tebou domů. A pak jako ke mně. Obojí je mi asi celkově jedno, jestli chceš. Že co to je? A to měl prostě nějaký random spell, akorát? Nebo, jo, aha. Klidně ode mě home k tobě. Jo, a ty jdeš jak home? Teďka.
I need a target.
Jo, ok, tak jo. Tak to jo. Kde seš teďka to aktuálně na hlasku? Ješo, ty pičovo, máš to nechat. Si nezávidím. Neslyšíš mě vůbec, jo? Tak počkej, tak já slyším spíš to vovko, ne? Nechci být úplně na hlas, ale dám to takhle teda. Dám to takto. Jako mě to vovko taky docela řve, tebe. Si to klidně můžu zklumit, jakože takhle. Tak, teďka počkej, já zkusím jít fightit. Teď si myslím, že by to mohlo být dobrý. Teďka, když jsem to slumel, tak už... Co to dělá vůbec? Toxin, ok. Teďka už by to mohlo být i good. Je to v kohonělou. Mně je jedno. Options. Tak já ho dám takhle, no jo? Ne, to je pro mě zase moc, ale může se slumit sluchátka. Tak. Teďka jak slyšíš to vovko? Dávám ty spady, které jdou nejvíc slyšet. furt výrazně potichu proti tobě. Tak já to zasím tady. What about now? Já nevím, jako výrazně, no, tak já to zkusím teďka výrazně zesílit. Třeba takhle. A jestli to jde teda, jak to bude slyšet. Teď už by to možná mohlo být výraznější, nebo míň výrazný. Ale podle mě to furt bude chtít trošku buď zesílit, anebo trošku snížit. To furt nebude ideální. Ty vole, to má takový delay ten stream, jo, do píče. Teď trošku snížil, bude to perfekt, OK. Trošku jsem to snížil, tak uvidíme, jestli je to perfekto. Tyhle, to je taky nějaký lehký tady ty vladály. Teď by to možná mohlo být teda perfekt. To je bázna tady ten kokot. Tohle je legit nejlehčí dál. Yes, okay. Banger, banger. Já už půjdu, tak dám vědět, až budu ready. Yes, dej. A užívej cestu, no, I guess. Čist. Já si jdu upravit grafiku toho Vovka, dneska jsem viděl nějaký video. Co to jdu upravit ještě. No jako nemusel bych mít zase za to tolik věcí, no, to je pravda. Taky klidně bere. No, ty pičo. Jako kdyby si jel rovnou, tak tě klidně vyzvednu.
Impact in ensuring all gameplay mechanics you need to react to, like AoE, fires, and swirlies on the ground are displayed as clear as they can be. Then there's a bonus fourth setting, which is also impactful, which I call the Prince. So let me explain all four settings, and I'll show you a demo of the same encounter with these four settings tuned all the way up versus all the way down. And the difference is night and day. You can see it for yourself in the demo. So the three big settings, or the three kings, are as follows. Firstly, on the graphic settings menu, scroll down and locate something called particle.
Graphic system, okay. SC, options, graphics. A tak, jo.
Density. Put simply,
Shadow. Low, practice ultra.
this first setting determines how many bits and pieces you see during flashy moments in the game, such as when the boss spells are being cast, ground AoE is burning, or any similar effects that involve a lot of small moving details. Turning up this setting makes all important PvE mechanics you need to react to look intense, and hence way easier to spot. So always keep this on the highest possible setting. Then you have projected textures. This setting governs how the game shows detailed textures on the ground and other surfaces. Specifically, it allows you to see where the spells will hit, indicating where certain things will land, and indicating areas you should move to or avoid to stay in during combat. A simple example is those ground swirlies that indicate something will land there and you need to move out of it. You must always keep projected textures enabled. This is what makes glowing outlines of ground effects or the visual cues of a dangerous boss ability visible. If you have this disabled, you are going to be failing to dodge mechanics you can't even see. Always enable this. Then third, you have texture resolution. Now this setting determines how clear and detailed everything in the game looks. Lowering this setting results in everything starting to look blurrier and less defined. And this is why you always keep this on the maximum highest setting, because it impacts gameplay mechanics directly. Specifically, the visual cues for spell effects, certain AoE ground effects you need to use weakest and highest. Now the game's default contrast is set at 50%, and you'll find it, so crank it as high as you can. Now beyond the three kings, scroll down further.
Tady všechno nula. A advance.
And you'll find something called contrast. Now the game's default contrast is set at 50%, and you will notice as you increase the contrast to something like 75-80%, which is what I like, and just to show you the drastic difference if I scroll all the way to the left and all the way to the right. And what you'll notice is that increasing the contrast, you'll see that the colors become way more distinct and they blend less together. And so this is very advantageous for fights where there are swirlies on the ground, because you get a way bigger distinction between the edges of the swirlies versus the safe zones. So if you're trying to min-max, consider playing around 70%, 75% contrast, depending on your tolerance for how dark certain parts of the world will become. Alright, we've covered a lot of theory, but seeing is believing. And just to demo to you, if I go to graphic settings, it literally is everything that we have covered. You can see particle density is disabled. Now we can properly talk about the by pressing Ctrl R, which is the default keybind. As you can see, it pops up like that. But if you have bound Ctrl R to something else, go to options, then under key bindings, what you want to go to is miscellaneous. You can appear in the center in follow. First off, monitor should be primary. This is your main monitor. If you use multiple monitors. Display mode, use full screen windowed. It ensures that the game is rendered at your monitor's native resolution. More specifically, this should correspond to the recommended resolution for your monitor. Then we have render scale, and this is a very important one. So this render scale feature has been bugged in World of Warcraft for a long time now, even since my last video, and it actually led to a decrease in FPS in some cases if you don't understand the bug. So technically how render scale works is it determines the resolution at which 3D environments are rendered. 100% means the game renders your monitor's natural and ideal resolution. Lowering it below 100% should technically reduce your output resolution, increasing the system resources used, and increasing your frames per second. However, in World of Warcraft, some people have this feature bugged, and for some others it worked great. No. So TLDR, you have to try it out. For most games in Modern Warfare, we will cover in our talk about, which is this FSR setting. I know it's mumbo jumbo. We will a setting I will talk about. Visual cues for
Like this distance ultra disable, 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 essential, enable. Okay.
to something, lowering it below later when I talk about it in a timestamp section. But as I was saying, most games put it at 90%, you combine it with FSR, you barely notice the difference versus 100%. It saves system resource and also gives you a FPS boost. However, because of the WoW bug, you need to test it for yourself. If you drop it to 90 and you hit apply, and you don't notice any FPS differences, in fact, you lose FPS, it means you have the bug, keep it at 100%. If you are lazy to trial and error, just keep it at 100%. Maybe Blizzard will fix this one day. But difference setting, it is quite a, I would say, Warcraft comprehensive. It's designed to prevent screen not in. It's delays between pressing your buttons and seeing the action appear on screen. Only turn it on if you notice visible tearing issues. By the way, if you have G-Sync or FreeSync enabled via your graphic card, you should 100% be using those. And if you don't understand what this means, don't fret it. Just turn vertical sync off by default. By the way, if you happen to play World of Warcraft on a Mac OS, you might have to keep vertical sync on, unfortunately, because I've heard if you turn it off on a Mac, it might cause the game to crash. But if you're playing Windows, definitely turn it off. Then you have low latency mode. I have mine set to NVIDIA Flex plus Boost. This basically reduces the delay between your actions and what happens on screen. And the option of NVIDIA Flex plus Boost only works if you have a NVIDIA card. I think it does help things be more responsive. This is a setting that I've changed since my last video. So anti-aliasing is really to smooth out jagged edges of characters and objects. This gets more important at lower resolutions of the game and less important if you play on higher resolutions like 4K. If you are all about min-maxing FPS like me, you want to disable by clicking none for anti-aliasing. In fact, I would say if you play on 1440p like me or 4K, you would feel the impact of anti-aliasing way less because of reduced pixel edges. So turn it to none for max FPS, but if you prefer a bit of eye candy, if you absolutely must have it, you can go to advanced, set this to CMAA2, and set this to color 4x and depth 4x.
Okay.
You will know if this gives possible. If you're again, my personal range of the game is at 80, and I'll demo it to you. So if you set your game to 80, you will see that everything is way more way fast. Battleground, people be like, why do you need 2 tabs? In short, World of Warcraft and Battle, which means this game you're gonna go one quality, or your leaves or your character looks nice but it doesn't help you play better. So I have this on low. Then you have liquid detail. Now this is a silent FPS killer. It has a big impact on your frames, especially if you play higher resolutions. Now in the past video I recommended low, but since then I've noticed that switching it to fair actually doesn't really impact performance at all. So nowadays I recommend going with fair. I know some people actually go with good, but I do notice that dropping from good to fair saves me quite a bit of frames, so I recommend staying at fair for liquid detail. This controls how vivid the water looks like in your game. Doesn't matter in the long run. Then you have particle density. You want to keep this as ultra. We covered this already in the Then we have SSAO, which is Screen Space Ambient Occlusion. It adds depth to the game by making shadows more realistic, especially in enclosed areas. Again, this does not help you be a better player, doesn't help you see effects and stable dark smoke, and then this setting from my last video as well. It adds glowy outlines to certain items or quest objectives, which is helpful for questing but useless in combat. Now, I've changed this from disabled previously to good now, because turning it off really only saves you frames if you're using a very old graphic card and your World of Warcraft is powered by a potato. So keep this on good, I think that's fine. Unless you're running something like an Intel integrated graphics card for World of Warcraft, then probably disable it, but I keep it at good for now. Texture resolution, we've covered this already in the 3 Kings section. Keep this on high, very important. Then we have spell density. As you can see from the tooltip, it controls how many spell effects you see during gameplay. Setting it to essential means you only see the important spells like your own. Keeping your screen cleaner makes the boss mechanics easier to split texture. Then you have view in dungeons and raids that tend to be enclosed spaces, but you'll notice a massive difference if you are in the capital city or town, or if you are in a dungeon right now like the Rookery, where you can see far that they look. Ground setting, not especially. You can check or uncheck this. You want this unchecked. The feature helps smooth out frame rate changes, but it adds a tiny delay to your actions, always disabled to provide more responsive character movement and less input lag. Then you have texture filtering. This is also a setting I changed since my last video. It affects how sharp textures look when you view at them from different angles. Nowadays, I keep it on 16x because I noticed that dropping to 8x and 4x respectively doesn't really result in from this. Realistic shadows using advanced technology, but it's then you have resample quality. I leave this on Fidelity FX Super Resolution 1.0, a mouthful, and we'll cover more about what this means when we talk about a console command hack later in a timestamp section of this video. For now,
That's funny. Mám to vůbec zapnout, nebo jsem to takhle buglo? To má buglo. Čere. Když se zapíná OBS, když se zapnu vlvko. Tak počkej. Tady se to dočí vysvětce. Asi jako dobrý, nebo?
So the TLDR here is no matter what, those four squeeze left optimize FPS count. If you have bound Control R to something else, go to options, and then under key bindings, what you want to go to is miscellaneous, and then you have something called toggle frame rate display, which is under Control R here. You can change this to something else. When you press Control R, your frame rate indicator might not appear in the center. It might be bottom right, top left, depends on your resolution, but it will appear. So then you can follow along with this video guide, change the settings, and see what impacts your frame rates. So first off, go to options, and then using the 50%, you combine it with FSR. you barely notice the difference versus 100%. It saves system resource and also gives you a FPS boost. However, because of the WoW bug, don't notice any FPS. Keep it at 100%. If you are lazy to trial and error,
frustration, Gaora, but do not rush to conclusions.
I read about this. On to adventure.
On Azeroth, the Pantheon sensed a powerful source of corruption. To protect the World Soul, they sent us, the Keepers, to lead the Titan-forged forces into battle. In time, we rooted out and defeated the threat, imprisoning its last vestiges in the deep places of the world.
I want to see everything. I need some time to think. I'll contemplate what we talked about.
I understand your frustration, Gaora, but do not rush to conclusions.
concentration, Geora, but do not rush to conclusions.
Looking for someplace new to explore?
How fare you? In unity, find strength.
How fare you? Fair skies and strong winds.
So many possibilities. Farewell. Be bold. Be true. It is a world of wonders. Until next time.